Hello, I'm here today to tell you what living with Parkinson's is really like. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's when I was 59. Most people receiving this diagnosis are over 60, so I was reasonably young, but there are people diagnosed much younger. People I know with Parkinson's are very aware that they have had the condition for some years before diagnosis, and some symptoms could well have been first noticed up to 8 or even 10 years before. I must first let you know about this illness, this disease, but this is not an illness or a disease, is it? An illness can be made better, but Parkinson's will not get better. I prefer to refer to it as a condition, a degenerative condition, a complex neurological degenerative condition, and it is progressive. It is recognized by 3 main symptoms: tremor, muscular rigidity or stiffness, and slowness of movement. The tremor affects about 70% of those with Parkinson's, and it's on one side of the body initially, and seen when at rest. Muscular rigidity results in people having problems turning, getting out of a chair, turning in bed, and fine motor control. Posture becomes stooped, the face can stiffen, smiling less, and it hampers everyday tasks. And slowness of movements mean, well, just that. Everything takes much longer. Getting moving takes time, and there's often a lack of concentration. What causes it? Why anyone has Parkinson's is an unknown. Though there is a very small chance it is seen in some families, it is mainly idiopathic, meaning there's no known cause. The dopamine in the brain is drained by about 80% when the signs start to show. Dopamine cells are the ones that send messages to the body to make it move. Well, could you spot a Parkie? Some typical symptoms include a stoop, shuffling short steps, taking several steps to turn, freezing, it's hard to make a step forward, hard to get money out, a blank face often referred to as the mask, and voice changes. It gets quieter and may have occasional stuttering. You may think that's not too bad, but imagine, every day the same. Stooping causes you to look down in order to avoid obstacles, which results in shuffling. Making short, almost running steps is tiring. Finding it hard to get money, especially if there's a tremor too, is frustrating. The blank face makes it hard for people to read any expression, and being unable to step forward can result in people getting irritated. A quiet voice and stuttering means people ask you to repeat yourself. I'm going to tell you my Parkinson's story today. My story is not the same as anybody else's, as we're all different. I mean, how ridiculous is that? Yes, we all get progressively worse, but we each have different aspects or symptoms of Parkinson's. I was an advisory teacher, delivering sex and relationships education throughout Oxfordshire. I had been aware that my right hand tremoured at times. I thought I was resting my wrist at an odd angle, but it gradually dawned on me that perhaps I should see my GP. She looked at me, moved my wrist and arm about, and reported that though she believed it was almost certainly a central tremor, I ought to see a neurologist. It got me thinking, and I started looking at the computer for information. Not always a good thing. But I convinced myself that I had got Parkinson's by the time I visited the hospital. I was ready for the worst. Or so I thought. But those 3 words, "You have Parkinson's," are etched on my brain. Nothing could have prepared me for the bombshell of hearing those 3 words. Here are some Parkinson's facts. In the early stages, the condition affects one side of the body. The tremor, if you have this, and about 70% have tremor, is on one side, and the arm tends not to swing when you walk. That same side often has a slightly dragging foot. Many people have anxiety. As people come to terms with their diagnosis, they realize they'd had many symptoms for some years, So let me tell you about my symptoms. Losing my sense of smell. Oh, that was about 8 to 10 years before my diagnosis. Disturbed sleep. I shout and scream and lash out. This started a couple of years before diagnosis, and I once bit my daughter who was worried about my shouting in my sleep. There are studies looking into REM sleep disorder as it is emerging as an early symptom. A slightly stooping gait. I walk with my right foot slightly dragging. I'm not swinging my right arm when I walk. Tiredness and falling asleep. It can be hard to sleep at night, yet easy to fall asleep in the day. Losing my confidence. Suffering anxiety. This is a major problem for many of us. I have difficulties turning over in bed. I'm more like a beached whale. Constipation. This can be a debilitating problem. If constipated, the drugs can be blocked. This means medication needed on a regular basis becomes ineffective. I find it hard to cut food up. I ask the cashier to pack my bag at the checkout, as I'm so slow. Voice changes. Mine is quieter. I stutter at times, and my speech can be slurred, especially towards the end of the day. I've lost my singing voice, which is a great personal loss, and I can no longer play the piano due to reduced dexterity. I forget my train of thought. I sometimes feel lightheaded, mainly due to low blood pressure. I lose my balance. I have a blank face at times. This is called the mask. It makes it hard for people to have any idea of how I'm feeling. I'm finding it increasingly difficult to dress with fiddly buttons, zips, and everything getting stuck. I'm unable to find the second armhole in jackets, coats, and cardigans. My handwriting is impossible to read. It is small, indistinct, and wavers about the page. I don't always finish a task, and I abandon jobs, leaving doors and drawers open. There's dribbling and drooling. Is your pillow damp in the morning? I avoid crowds as I find them threatening, so I shop at quieter times. Clothes shopping again done at quiet times. I have to ask for a seat in the changing room, and this leaves little space to try clothes on, and I usually take clothes home to try, as the process of dressing also takes my energy, and everything taking much longer to do. Well, over 25 examples there, and I could probably think of more. Many people suffer mood changes so overwhelming that they're treated for depression. Other psychological changes include apathy and lack of motivation. Each one is not too bad, but collectively they are a nuisance, and I'll give you some ways it can irritate. Dealing with anxiety. I panicked when a train was cancelled. Logic told me I could get the next one, but I nearly lost it. The loss of my sense of smell. I can't smell roses or apple blossom, which is a shame, but I didn't smell the toast burning when staying at a friend's house. The toaster was nearly on fire, and I had no idea. The tremor causes spillages. You may be a half full or half empty person, but it's all the same to me. All glasses and cups should be half full or half empty, as I tend to shake the top half out. And handwriting. Oh, I cannot read my handwriting anymore, not even a shopping list. I tried helping my grandson with a project, but he was unable to read my writing, so it wasn't really much help in the end. When out with a fellow Parky for lunch, I was unable to cut my food. He said he couldn't help me, and there were no staff about, so I had to ask a person from another table to cut my food for me. I'm losing my balance. I took my grandsons to the cinema. I fell backwards going down the stairs, sending 2 large packs of popcorn skywards. All these symptoms compound to make you feel different, that people might look at you, and worse, that your friends may not ask you out. I knew such feelings could lead to depression. This called for action, and I have kept up my friendship as I do not wish to become isolated. So how do I deal with Parkinson's? For a start, I want to take control of Parkinson's rather than allowing it to take control of me. I've not yet given in to it, and it's not all doom and gloom. I can't rely solely on medicine. Yes, it keeps me well and in control, but I need more. So imagine you're making a chair. You start with a seat, and you add the first leg. Call this medicine. You can sit on it, but it's not steady, so add another leg. Call this exercise. Slightly more steady, but add a further leg, and it's much steadier. Call this one psychological. But by adding a fourth leg, called lifestyle, you have a really strong chair. Having each of these features is the best way for people with Parkinson's to get a good quality of life. I keep up some exercise, consider myself psychologically, and I keep a healthy lifestyle. So I force my arm to swing and I walk regularly. I take my medicine and take it on time. I keep busy. I try to help others, as helping others makes me feel better. I aim to keep positive. I try never to moan about the condition. It's not going to help me, so why do it? I keep active, and I've met some lovely people on the way who I can now call friends, but specifically, I go to an exercise class and a voice exercise class. I've been on a mindfulness course for people with Parkinson's. I've not only joined the Parkinson's UK local branch, but now run it as chair. And as chair, I'm kept busy. Parkinson's UK suggests the workload could be as much as 15 to 20 hours a month. But they cannot be serious. I do that most weeks. I never wanted to do voluntary work. As a teacher, most of my working life tended to be voluntary, but my life is fulfilled doing what I do, and Parkinson's has given me that opportunity. I'm passionate about informing people about Parkinson's through presentations, talking at events, be they coffee mornings, or speaking at a conference or at concerts. I've co-written a 2-day workshop called First Steps. It is designed to support people with Parkinson's and people who care at the difficult time at the point of diagnosis. I did a skydive to raise money. I visited the European Parkinson's Therapy Centre in Italy for a week of intensive physiotherapy. It was agony, and I loved it. I go to Dance of Parkinson's with English National Ballet. The classes include a cuppa at the end because we value meeting people at the classes and how sharing a cuppa together and having a chat is so therapeutic. I'm an expert patient tutor and support the medical students when they learn about neurological conditions. I'm a research volunteer and have willingly given blood, spinal fluid and skin biopsies. And I do fundraising, mainly to donate to research projects at the Oxford Parkinson's Disease Centre and to support the work of the Brain Bank. Also, proceeds support our branch work, subsidising or funding exercise and voice classes, providing respite care for carers to get a break, and offering visits and lunches out. Probably the most effective way I have found to deal with it is having a good laugh. Yes, I find something to amuse me constantly. My inability to hold a glass steady and spilling drinks. Get a bigger glass. I took my grandsons to see Stomp. This is an entertaining display of rhythm and dance. Performers bang dustbins and even dance with dustbin lids on their feet, so you can imagine it is pretty loud. We had front row seats. Suddenly I heard, "Nan, Nan, you can't sleep through this, it's much too loud." Then later, commenting how fast the cast could clap, they collapsed in laughter, saying no one could clap faster than me with Parkinson's. I can no longer twizzle spaghetti onto a fork. I think it'd be a good way to diagnose having Parkinson's, but I don't think it'll catch on. And so it goes on. Another thing I find important is to talk openly about Parkinson's, that I have it, how it affects me and my life. It saves people looking at me and wondering. I think it's important to point out how lucky I was with my GP, who sent me to the neurologist straight away. Many people I know have had different experiences. Some had been to the doctor several times over 2 or even 3 years before the doctor saw fit to get a neurological appointment. Meanwhile, they've been treated for other conditions, costing how much to the NHS? Some were told, you can't have Parkinson's because you don't tremor. A third don't. You only tremor on one side. Tremor is only on one side to begin with. You don't have Parkinson's because you don't pill roll. That's doing this. And one was being treated for depression and even spent 2 months in hospital. Let's look at what it's like for Parkies in hospital. It can be difficult for Parkies because they suffer anxiety. Managing medication is hard at home, but in hospital it can create anxiety if it doesn't come on time. Most Parkies who are admitted to hospital do so following a fall, and there is sufficient evidence to support this. I myself have suffered 2 falls, each resulting in fractures to vertebra. Another cause of Parkie admissions is due to swallowing difficulties. Food gets stuck or is aspirated, resulting in pneumonia. But how do we reduce Parkinson's patients ending up in hospital? One way is by offering focused exercise classes, and it's possible to build up the strength to avoid falling. And a support group can offer guidance from professionals to ensure we keep healthy. 2017 was the bicentennial of the publication of An Essay on the Shaking Palsy by James Parkinson, whose name is given to the condition. Not enough has been done to stop the condition or to alleviate the symptoms. Parkinson's, no doubt, has been seen as an older person's condition, and perhaps as such it's only to be expected for old people to have something to suffer with. But with our population growing older, numbers with Parkinson's are reaching pandemic proportions, and it may at last go up the priority list. Levodopa is the main drug, and this was created over 50 years ago. There may be efforts being put into addressing drug treatments, but we can only build on what has gone before. My hope is the successful mitigation of Parkinson's. To do it, we need researchers, clinicians, and data analysts, and fundraising is essential to get us there. But it doesn't just affect me. I've been talking about me living with Parkinson's, but I'm more than that. I'm a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. This condition doesn't just affect me. It has had a massive impact on my family, my husband, 2 daughters and 4 grandsons. I am determined to inform people about Parkinson's and that we seek better treatments and eventually a cure. My grandsons love to tease me, but deep down they are aware of my failing strength. They are helpful when they stay. They watch me so I am safe as I lose my balance at times, and are happy to hold my hand. My family has been supporting me in my efforts to help others and inform a wider audience about the condition. With so much research to find better treatments and the elusive cure, I believe there's never been a better time to have Parkinson's. But we know this insidious condition is ruthless, unforgiving and relentless. I'm in a place I do not want to be, knowing my future is one of steady deterioration. An anecdote. Following a presentation I gave to radiographers at the Churchill Hospital, I was forwarded this letter. Thank you so much for arranging for Sally to talk to us yesterday. I don't come across many patients with Parkinson's, but coincidentally, I did today. The patient was late, but I understood the challenges that he must have had getting here. He was slow, but I understood. I managed to complete the scan without asking him to turn onto his side, as I appreciated it would be difficult. I wasn't surprised when he dozed off during the scan. I leant a bit closer to hear him, as his voice was very weak. I'd like to think I would have treated him with compassion, even without Sally's talk, but I think With the knowledge I gained yesterday, I was a bit more patient and understanding of the challenges that he and his wife face. So what can you do to help the Parky? Perhaps you could approach them, rather than watch them struggle towards you. Help them with money, especially if there's tremor too. Smile to give them reassurance, and lean forward to hear them. Small gestures will be appreciated. And to encourage us to value each and every day, here's a quote from A. Milne. What day is it? It's today, sweet piglet. My favourite day, said Pooh. Thank you.